Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give you a brief overview of the first episodes of the series The Act, based on real events. 2008, Springfield. After Hurricane Katrina, Dee Dee Blanchard and her 14-year-old daughter Gypsy were left homeless. They were given a new home, built with charitable funds. But behind the beautiful facade lies a real nightmare. Gypsy is a thin girl in a wheelchair, with a shaved head and huge glasses. Her mother controls her every move and every word. Dee Dee shaves her daughter's hair herself, transfers her from the sink to a chair, and feeds her a liquid mixture with medicine through a tube. The medicine cabinet in their home is more like a mini warehouse. Dozens of jars and pills that the mother gives out on a whim. Gypsy even has to sleep in an oxygen mask. Her neighbor Lacey, an ordinary volunteer girl from the hospital, decides to get to know the girl from the pink house. Gypsy finds a friend for the first time. Lacey paints her lips, does her makeup, and Gypsy glows with happiness. But the joy is short-lived. Her mother immediately wipes everything off with a damp cloth. "You're too young for that," Dee Dee declares. Gypsy has tears in her eyes. She wants to be like everyone else, but her mother won't let her. When meeting with neighbors, Dee Dee lists a whole list of her daughter's ailments: epilepsy, paralysis, heart problems. She insists that Gypsy will never be able to take care of herself. When Lacey offers her a Coke, Dee Dee makes a scene. She can't eat sugar, she's allergic. At home, she scares her daughter with horror stories about anaphylactic shock. But sometimes the caring mother herself pushes her daughter to do bad things. At the mall, Gypsy asks for a beautiful pendant, and Dee Dee steals it right from the display case. A neighbor accidentally witnesses the whole thing. Now Dee Dee is afraid that she will be reported to the police. Meanwhile, Gypsy tries to find answers on her own. On her mother's laptop, she searches the internet for the words boyfriend and kiss for the first time. But at home, it's the same hellish routine. Pizza? Only in the form of liquid porridge, chopped up in a blender and injected directly into her stomach with a syringe. To win over the neighbors, Dee Dee throws a party. She goes around with a jar and collects money for her daughter's surgery. Gypsy sits in a ridiculous costume. The children avoid her, and she looks enviously at Lacey hugging her boyfriend. Later, Gypsy approaches them, but the teenagers are going to the movies, and she is not allowed to go. All she has left are the colorful cupcakes on the table. While her mother turns away, Gypsy reaches for a cupcake, a small piece of freedom. But at that moment, Mel, the neighbor in whose honor the party is being held, appears. To prevent her from reporting the theft to the police, Dee Dee resorts to her favorite trick: tears, complaints, stories about how her daughter doesn't have long to live and she has no money. Suddenly, she notices the cupcake in Gypsy's hands, snatches it away, immediately gives her an injection, and takes the child to the hospital. And there the performance continues. 5 more minutes and she would have died. Soon, Mel reappears with the wallet that Dee Dee forgot. She offers to hush up the unpleasant incident. After all, she is a single mother herself and does not want other people's problems. But a few years later, it all ends in tragedy. In 2015, the Blanchards' house is cordoned off by the police. Dee Dee is found dead in her bedroom, with multiple stab wounds. Gypsy has disappeared. Let's go back to 2008. Dee Dee affectionately hugs her daughter, then takes her pills and falls asleep next to her. At night, Gypsy takes off her oxygen mask and gets up. She goes to the refrigerator and tries whipped cream from a can for the first time. And no sugar allergy, no shock. She had already heard in the hospital that her medicines were full of sugar, and now she was convinced of it. When her mother found her on her feet, She angrily put her daughter back to bed. Gypsy falls asleep in tears. 2015. The neighbors are shocked. How could a girl with such a bouquet of diseases run away? But in 2009, we see a completely different picture. Gypsy secretly eats buckets of ice cream, washes it down with Coca-Cola, and watches makeup tutorials. At the same time, Dee Dee receives a joyful letter. Gypsy has been named Child of the Year, all thanks to her own tearful stories. But the joy turns into a new problem. The girl develops cavities from eating sweets. Dee Dee insists that it's due to high acidity. The gastroenterologist is surprised. The girl swallows normally and doesn't need a stomach tube at all. But Dee Dee isn't going to listen to the doctors. It's easier for her to find someone who will sign new prescriptions. Or even better, steal the forms and write the prescriptions herself. Meanwhile, the 2015 investigation continues. Who could have killed Dee Dee? Let's go back to the past. Gypsy loses a tooth and is terrified. The next morning, her mother prepares her a new super cocktail of 7 medications. Gypsy looks enviously at her peers in the yard, and then gets a rare opportunity. Her mother allows her to go to the neighbors. There, the girl meets a puppy, and her eyes light up. But her joy is replaced by embarrassment. Her friends notice the terrible condition of her teeth. Gypsy confesses that she secretly eats sweets at night. Meanwhile, Dr. Lakshmi Chandra calls her former doctors and gradually reveals the terrible truth. Social worker Allison comes to the Blanchards' house. Dee Dee immediately forces her daughter to take the bitter medicine, while she pretends to be a victim. But this time, the social worker is not fooled by her tears. She carefully inspects the house and begins to ask uncomfortable questions. Dee Dee brings Gypsy out of the bathroom. The medicine has already taken effect, and the girl is literally stretched out. She barely responds to questions. But then, a detail emerges. The stolen prescription forms are still lying on the table. It also turns out that the house and insurance are registered to different people. Dee Dee, as always, blames Hurricane Katrina for everything. The papers are lost. Everything is in disarray. The social worker's visit really scared her. She even covers the windows with transparent film so that no one can look into the house. Then she goes to her neighbor Mel to play on her sympathy. But Mel assures her, "I didn't complain." Meanwhile, Gypsy is taken to the dentist. Under anesthesia, she learns that her teeth are not being treated, but simply removed one by one. The girl wakes up at home with a swollen face and an empty mouth. She cries in the bathroom, but her mother, as always, pretends that everything is fine. And then came the award ceremony. Gypsy had bruises on her face and no teeth, but Dee Dee prepared her to shine in front of the audience. Only at the last moment did she give her daughter dentures. Why did she torment her so? Under the spotlight, Gypsy is wheeled onto the stage. She receives the title of Child of the Year and a prize of $5,000. The scene is touching. Gypsy sings about love in a thin voice, and her mother sings along with her. But behind the scenes, the tyranny continues. Later, Gypsy goes to see Dr. Chandra. For the first time, they are alone together. The doctor tells the girl straight out, "You are not allergic to sugar." He gives her a glass of Coca-Cola and nothing bad happens. Chandra is convinced that most of Dee Dee's diagnoses are false. He even replaces the tube in her stomach with a less traumatic one. Let's fast forward to 2015. Lacey confesses to her mother and then to the police. Gypsy had a secret Facebook account. She used it to communicate with people and even got a boyfriend. But at home, the girl no longer plays the role of the perfect child. She puts unnecessary toys on her bed, stops singing with her mother, and increasingly locks herself in her room. If you want to hear the rest of this shocking story about Dee Dee Blanchard's love and care, be sure to write in the comments.